Freedom Ride, Part 3, Travel Restrictions for Converted E-Bikes, by Sandy Miller. The Victorian Government recently announced a ban on all non-factory produced e-bikes from metropolitan and regional trains in Victoria, including those converted by reputable bike shops. The Department of Transport and Planning introduced bans from the beginning of 2026 for converted e-bikes on trains in Victoria, including new rules related to the use of other rideable e-devices. The rules include: converted e-bikes are banned on Metropolitan and V-Line trains and within ticketed areas. E-bikes, e-scooters and other rideable e-devices must be switched off and cannot be ridden or charged on board, on platforms or in station precincts. Only foldable e-scooters and e-bikes are allowed on trams and PTV buses. The Department of Transport said converted e-bikes are more likely to catch fire because of poor wiring, low-quality parts or unsafe batteries. Converted e-bikes are regular bicycles that have had motors, controllers and batteries added to allow them to function as e-bikes. This includes pedal bikes converted pre-purchase from a retailer or post-purchase either DIY or by a bicycle mechanic. Converted e-bikes can be identified as having the electric components fitted to the outside of the frame, while factory e-bikes have the components integrated into the frame of the bike. Local e-bike store owner Rebecca Lee of Rev Bikes, who sells both factory e-bikes and installs conversion kits, says these new rules are blatantly unfair and discriminatory. Ms. Lee says compliance officers identify converted e-bikes by identifying whether the components are integrated or not, but she says that having a certification standard would be a better solution. In a letter to the Minister for Transport, seen by M&N Bulletin, she said,
"While we fully support measures to safeguard public safety, we respectfully argue that the broad scope of the regulations as drafted will not necessarily meet their safety goals and will inflict substantial harm on genuine Australian businesses creating Australian-made products with high quality and low environmental impact."
She said the current regulations are manifestly unfair as they fail to distinguish between unsafe DIY conversions and high-quality, professionally built customed e-bikes. She cites the overly broad regulation framework, saying it
discriminates against reputable local manufacturers and small businesses by falsely suggesting to the broader public that their product and workmanship is less safe. This is unreasonable, unjustified and is significantly damaging to the livelihood of established businesses who have been safely trading in this space for many years.
She said it also harms vulnerable users, especially those with disabilities who frequently rely on custom e-bike builds to produce bespoke mobility solutions for their specific needs.
Telling them that because they've got a custom-built e-bike, they're not allowed to take it on the train, and because they have a disability, they're not allowed to have a driver's licence. This is appalling treatment of people who need specific technologies, and if they can't get an exemption, that is completely unfair. I've got several customers who rely on commuting for part of their journey, so they ride to a station and then they train, and then they ride somewhere else. But that is impossible now.
Rebecca said much of the issue stems from the lack of certification standards for e-bike batteries in Victoria.
The fire risks that have prompted these regulations arise from cheap imported conversion kits installed by amateurs in home garages, systems which have been tampered with by inexperienced users, low-quality lithium battery packs with inadequate battery management systems, not just from conversions, also cheap factory e-bikes, and uncertified components sourced from overseas suppliers with unverifiable safety credentials.
Ms. Lee has launched a parliamentary petition requesting the government reconsiders the blanket ban on converted e-bikes on public transport and grant exemptions for custom e-bikes built professionally by approved Victorian businesses. The petition notes, in part,
while the ban aims to mitigate fire risks from low-quality, directly imported DIY kits, usually installed in backyards, it unfairly penalises thousands of Victorians owning high-quality, professionally built electric bikes and trikes which have no greater fire risk than other e-bikes. Professionally converted e-bikes are built in Australian factories by trained technicians, utilising high-quality components and undergo rigorous safety testing, distinguishing them from DIY installations. Custom e-bikes are often higher quality than most Chinese imported e-bikes. Recycling old bike frames into e-bikes is more environmentally friendly and cost-effective. New batteries are not made unsafe by mounting on old bikes. Many people with disabilities require this type of customised solution and team it with public transport for commuting. There are simple ways professionally built e-bikes could be quickly distinguished by public transport staff, eliminating the need for a blanket ban. Denying exemptions to this ban adversely affects thousands of responsible and safe e-bike users and jeopardises the future of local, pioneering and innovative custom e-bike businesses.
To add your signature to the petition, visit the Parliament of Victoria website at https://bit.ly/49VRTOH. This story was read by Rebecca Rose, James Poyner and Sandy Miller.